Awesome, Amber. So, welcome to Soden Real Estate podcast, where we sit down with professional and, of course, real estate professional to learn about their career, their local market, their strategies to create exceptional experiences for buyers and sellers. Today's guest is Amber Kimmel of the Kimmel Real Estate team in Abilene, Texas. Amber, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Awesome. That's
Excited to
good. So,
be here.
me as well. Me as well. So, Amber, we are going through your real estate journey together today, and I know that you have been in real estate industry for nearly 2 decades, which is a lot. But what originally attracted you to the business, and how has your approach to serving clients changed as you have gained more experience?
Well, what attracted to me to real estate and what has always been my connection to real estate is just the
Mhm.
investment component. I love studying investment and I love the numbers and I love the research. And so anytime you start looking at, investment opportunities, real estate is always a big component of that.
For
And
sure.
so I wanted to get into the industry so I could have a firsthand seat to that and have firsthand knowledge. So that's what drew me to the industry initially. How it's changed, over the last 2 decades and working with clients. Of course, the more experience, the better I am
For
prepared
sure.
and educated to help be able to identify and help my clients' needs.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you're in Abilene, Texas. Before jumping into that kind of, market and all of it, I would be really interested in know how is the market right now? How do you see it, in terms of buyers and sellers? So what do you think about the market right now?
Sure. So here, like hyper locally, we're a little bit different than the nation as a whole. We
Hmm.
have a lot of demand on our real estate market. It's a heavy seller's market. We are experiencing growth that we haven't seen historically in a long time due to data centers and new industries moving in, along with our military base expansion. And
Hmm.
so activity is very high in real estate, and the demand for housing is great. So there's tons of new construction. They're putting things on the ground as fast as they can to try to meet the needs.
Awesome. That's great, actually. That's great. So, one thing that I actually noticed when I was checking your website and, when I was checking your realtor.com profile and all of that, you describe your goal as making the real estate experience fun, simple, and rewarding. Buying or selling a home rarely feels simple to the person that is going through it. So, how do you make that promise a reality?
That is always my goal. And that is the feedback that I get a lot from my clients working with me. We get to the end of the transaction and then they're like, that's it. And that's all. Of course, there's exceptions, but in
For
general,
sure.
I want to do as much of the heavy lifting for them as I can and break things down step by step so it's not overwhelming. And I
Mhm.
also work really hard. I want to build that trust so that they know that I'm their advocate and that I'm working on their behalf and looking out for things that they don't even know to be watching out for because I am in the industry and it is what I do every day. Not everybody buys or
Exactly.
sells a house every day of the week.
Exactly.
So, and
Exactly.
I always tell my clients, even if you bought a house 2 years ago, the market has changed, the laws have changed. It's a different experience. And so
Exactly.
I always would just work really hard to be very educated and have foresight to help set them up for success so they
Mhm.
don't have to be worried or concerned about all of those things that they don't need to be.
Exactly. And based on the reviews that you're getting online and all of it, I can say that that's 100% true. And I can see that you have really helped a lot of people along the way. And that's it. People are really looking for someone professional to take care of everything. They're not interested in coming, jumping into this. That process might be too complicated for them. And they just need to find someone that is, trustworthy and, they can give the whole process to that person. 100% right. You're right. Cool. So I also wanted to jump once again into Abilene market. You serve Abilene as well as other communities such as Buffalo Gap and other places and surrounding areas. What makes this region different from larger Texas real estate markets? Hard
Versus
question.
what, what'd you say?
Hard question.
Well, just a thought question, I suppose. Number one, we are a smaller market and we do have, like, compared to bigger markets like Dallas, Austin, Houston. So, along with that, you have a lower price point. And then
Lower price point.
also,
Yeah.
yeah, lower price point. And then people also view and you think about your commute different here than
Mhm.
other places. We don't have knock on wood, 5 o'clock traffic or nowhere is far. And
Knock on
so
wood.
yes. So when people are thinking about moving here, especially from bigger cities within Texas or across the nation, that's something that always is a perspective shift for them
Mm,
because they will initially identify where they want to live, maybe based on the side of town they're working on
exactly.
or some specific need. But then once they experience our area, they understand that even if you're going the furthest distance apart, it's not far. So
Exactly. Exactly.
so that's one thing that I see, as a difference in what people notice or recognize when coming
Exactly.
from bigger areas is the traffic.
You are 100%, and I love that answer. Like me personally, and I talk with a lot of real estate agent, and that's something that I would say a lot of professional real estate agent actually emphasize that kind of traffic because that's a very, very important thing for a lot of people. And many people don't notice that until they are moved in and they're like, oh my God, what I'm going to do. That's like too much traffic. Cool, awesome.
Yes.
I love the answer.
Yes,
Cool.
and it's
There.
very different looking at 2 points on a map versus actually being here and knowing what it looks like to navigate from point A to point B in reality.
100%.
So,
Exactly. You're right about that part, and I love the answer. So, Amber, one thing that I also notice is that you hold that specialty in helping military families. Okay, you mentioned it at the beginning. These clients often face short timelines. They are unfamiliar with the whole process, and they want to kind of move in as quickly as possible. And how do you help these people to make confident decision under these circumstances?
I think how the first step we do is really getting to know them and know their specific needs. Every individual or family is different, and what's important to them might be different than what's important to someone else. And so,
Exactly.
for us to help best direct them in their real estate search is, I think, that first, really committing to discovering what they need and what they want is step number one. We consider it a huge honor to be able to help our military in the real estate component, and it's probably about 60 to 70% of our clients are veterans. We're very heavy military influenced area. And those people a lot of times are going to have special hire needs because a lot of times it's not a choice move. They're not moving here by choice. And they
Yeah,
also don't have the same timeline that a lot of people do. I work with a
exactly.
lot of people who are moving from outside of the country,
Hmm.
Germany, Japan, different locations to here, and are in a situation where they have to buy sight unseen. So, in that combination, of course, like to me, it's a huge responsibility to really help them understand what our market is and understand the house that they're looking at and be as fully as
Exactly.
aware as possible to make the best decision for them so that when they, you know, fly in and show up with their family and their dog and move in, that it's a good match.
Yeah, so you actually, instead of just saying thank you for your service, you show them how kind of, instead of just saying, you actually show it in action that you're really thankful for their services and you really help them with the market. So I kind of get it. That's actually beautiful. That's beautiful. Awesome, Amber. So one thing that I also wanted to ask was about pricing and marketing as well. So your team emphasizes that a home's success depends heavily on how it is priced, presented, and marketed. Okay. So walk us through that whole process that how do you determine the right listing price and how do you develop that marketing strategy for a seller? I think sellers would love to hear that.
Yes, step number one is just education on the market and knowing
Mhm.
what. the current market is that we are in. It's very interesting meeting with sellers. A lot of times, what their perception and what they think is out there doesn't always match what is reality. So,
Mhm.
us as being very educated and aware and studying the market on a daily basis is we're
Mhm.
able to bring that data to our sellers to help them make the best decision as to where they want to price their property.
Exactly.
Another thing that is, I think, super important is just educating sellers on what would like expectations as far as how buyers are shopping and looking at pricing. You know, a lot of times I meet sellers, and a real common
Mhm.
thing that they always say is, "Well, we can always go down, we can't go up." And you know, maybe there's a little truth to that, but also it's a big could be a big hole, a big misstep, in my opinion, by overpricing your property and actually ending up with a lower net in the long run. And that's something
Exactly.
that, you know, unless you've experienced and you see, you may not initially understand. So our goal is always to bring the data and to bring the education so that they can make the best decision for them.
Exactly. And so you mentioned that actually data that I also wanted to ask how important are professional photography, video or virtual tours or all of that online stuff when the buyer may decide whether to visit the property within seconds or seeing it online. Do you do actually such a services or not? If yes, what are the details about it?
Sure, marketing the property is super important. Everyone, well, majority of people's first impression is going to be that online presence. And so
Exactly.
along that with that, we always want to get professional photography. We want to get the best presentation that we can. We invest in a lot of online marketing and trying to keep our properties at top spots in real estate searches. And then on some of those third-party sites, we always want to try to keep our properties at the top so they're getting the most visibility. You know, I always say if we can get in front of the most number of people, then we have the better odds of finding the best buyer for your property.
Yeah, for sure. You're 100% right. I love that answer. Yes, 100%. And this is pretty interesting because Amber, I was reading through your reviews and testimonials and all of that. And one of the clients described you as having a quiet manner while being the strong negotiator. So how do you protect that was pretty interesting for me. How do you protect your client's interests without allowing actually emotions or unnecessary conflict to jump into that actually transaction?
That is something I have definitely learned and leveled up over the years, and is being a strong negotiator and
Wow.
being able to deliver that for my clients. And I take that as my job. You know, my job is number one to get their objective and their goals, but it's not the, you know, it's not my buyer's or seller's job to necessarily know how to do that. They just need to
Mhm.
know what they want, and then it's my job to know how to do that. So
Exactly, exactly. So I'm pretty sure that you're definitely very good at this part, and that was pretty interesting for me as well to see that client are actually telling that you can do it very good. So awesome,
I
great
think
job.
a lot of times my clients say that because you know, they'll hear me say a lot. I want to know what they want first, and then of course I always make
For sure.
recommendations and suggestions, and to their benefit and to their, you know, to help them the best. And then so it's super fun when I'm able to deliver on that, and they are like pleasantly surprised because they get more than what they wanted or more than, you know,
Exactly.
what they were asking for. And I think a lot of people maybe just take things at surface level. And if they know that they can make it smooth and easy and get the deal closed, they
Mhm.
aren't going to maybe make that extra step to see how can you go above and beyond and how can you do even more for your buyer or seller. And that's to me is super fun and exciting. Like I want to
Mhm.
do more. Like I want to know what you want and then I want to do more on
Wow,
top of
that's
that.
great. I think that's really great, Amber, because I talk to a lot of agents, and many of them see kind of person, just as a number, just as a transaction. But the way you're telling that, hey, the clients that you're working with, you're seeing a person, someone that has emotions, and you want to help them, like you want to help as much as possible. And honestly, I think that's one of the features that is really making you better compared to the people, to the other people. And that's why you're getting all of this kind of, positive reviews, honestly, on the online. And I think you're right, 100%.
I hope so.
Yeah, they're definitely right. Cool. So I also wanted you to give us some advice for the buyers and sellers right now, to the sellers that are in the market and maybe they're kind of waiting, and also to the buyers as well. So what would be the best advice that you would give to the buyers and sellers right now?
Well, number one, best advice is find a real estate professional that you trust and that can help you along with your
Mhm.
journey. I would
Yeah.
say that that is step number one. And then in our market specifically, which may not be the same across the country, but the second piece of advice that I think is critical in our market to set you up for success is for a buyer or a seller, you need to be prepared so that you can move quickly and that you can
Mhm.
respond quickly. We're very time sensitive right now, which is not always the case. But right now, if you want to have success in our market as a buyer, you need to really have a defined idea of what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So when the
Mhm.
opportunity presents, you're able to move quickly. And the same with a seller. You really need to have a defined plan and idea of what is going to be, defined as success for you. So again,
Mhm.
when you're presented with an opportunity or an offer, you're able to respond and move quickly. Because right now, I see a lot of people missing opportunities because of taking too much time to be able to make a
Exactly.
decision. So I really
Exactly.
encourage my people to do that on the front end so that when we are there, you're able to execute.
You're 100% right. I've also heard it from other agents that, sometimes buyers are so, they're like, they can't just take the final action. And I kind of understand that that's not an easy thing. Usually buying a home or selling a home is a big decision, but
That's
you got to be
right.
fast enough. You got to be fast enough. You're 100% right. I love that, Amber. And Amber, one more thing that I wanted to ask is about building a team and a life, actually, a very long and lifelong relationship with your clients. You speak about developing relationships with for whole life, but you're also leading a real estate team with system technology and a specialized support and all of it. So how do you combine personal service with the structure needed to serve a growing number of clients? So I think that kind of relationship wouldn't be something easy to handle, but how do you handle that?
That's very important to me because I want the people that are working with me to be able to navigate and move with the same level of service and the same integrity and intentionality that I do as an individual. And so my goal and how I set out to do that is just a lot of intentional mentorship and
Mhm.
shadowing and them getting
Mhm.
to see and experience, how I operate, but then at the same time being able to make it their own and
Mhm.
to
Exactly.
operate within who they are. Because, a lot of people possess skills and talents that are different than what I
Yeah.
have. And so taking the good from both and delivering an excellent product to our clients is super important.
100%. Can't agree more with that. Can And Amber, as a final piece of advice to anyone that is listening, that anyone that is maybe trying to sell their home or maybe trying to buy one, what would be the thing that you would say to them? If there is anything that you want to say to them, that's the moment.
Anybody who's looking to buy or sell a home, what would I
Mhm.
want to say to them?
Yeah, exactly.
I think I would just go back to what I said previously, and that find a great real estate professional in the industry in your area that can help you walk along that process, that you can
Mhm.
trust and that you feel confident in being able to help you. I think that was
Exactly.
what I would tell everyone. Step one.
Exactly. I also heard it from a lot of agents. They're like, hey, your cousin is not the person that can help you with the whole process. You have to find the professional person, kind of, because I have also seen a lot of people that kind of pay the price of not working with a professional person. And I think you're 100% right with that part. So that was great. Amber, thank you so much for joining us and sharing the experience. So
Thank you.
today's conversation shows that kind of real estate is not simply about locating a house or putting a sign in a yard. It requires listening carefully, pricing accurately, marketing professionally, negotiating effectively, communicating consistently, and maybe even understanding the whole situation on every single move. And I think your experience with working with first-time home buyers, sellers, investors, military families, and clients with highly specific housing needs shows how important it is to have an agent, or as you say, a professional person, a professional agent who can combine that local knowledge with that patience, with that preparation and personal service. So, ladies and gentlemen, for anyone that is listening that is trying to buy or sell a home in Abilene or one of the surrounding areas, you can learn more about Amber Kimmel and the Kimmel Real Estate at kimmelteam.com. All right?
That's right.
That's right. Amber, thank you again for joining us on Soden Real
Thank
Estate
you.
podcast. I appreciate
Appreciate
it.
you.
So let me